can't believe this house is teeming with guns. Guns kill.
Oh, guns kill. Is that right? Well, let's see about that. Okay, gun, kill. Go ahead, kill someone. Don't be shy. See? Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Guns defend people against people with smaller guns.
Hello everyone, this is My Two Cents. I'm here in beautiful Scotland on vacation with my hot girlfriend Katie. Most of you have probably seen her on my channel banner. Say hello, sweetheart.
Screw you. You're wasting all of our vacation time making videos.
She's feisty. Anyways, Scotland sure is great, but unfortunately there are some liberal Scots with strong opinions about firearms. Like this fellow from the Young Turds. The Young Turks. Gee, I always mess that up. I wonder why. Well, I think I'm going to need some help for this one. To the standing stones of Callanash! O great mystical structure of the ancient Scots, to help me debunk this young turd, I summon Mr. Dapperton.
I have been summoned! Who dares summon thee? Oh, it's My Two Cents. What up, G?
Let's debunk this, Daps.
Of course.
They have so many rifles and so many guns, sometimes even I get a little bit concerned. I said, that's a lot.
As soon as I stepped foot in this country, it was immediate and obvious. Guns were a thing. And I don't mean in the stereotypical, we love guns, America, f yeah. But more in a, we accept guns as a normal part of our society sort of way.
Well, I know that in Europe y'all have more or less accepted that it's the government's job to do everything for the people from the cradle to the grave. But here in the US, the Founding Fathers, for all their faults, did understand that governments aren't some omnibenevolent force for good. They put the Second Amendment in place so that Americans would never forget that it's ultimately your job to protect you, especially from corrupt tyrannical governments that are virtually unstoppable once they have a monopoly on guns.
To me, that was more alarming. That was when I began to realize that you will never rid this country of its gun obsession. Because after each mass shooting or attack in the United States, activists call for gun reform and are met with the Second Amendment purists who don't want their freedoms restricted. Despite how overwhelming the statistics are, with more gun-related deaths in a month than most Western countries will experience in over a decade, it still seems that these debates lead us back to the same conclusion.
Yet another example of the blatant dishonesty and manipulation of facts by the left. Notice he said gun deaths, not gun murders or mass shootings or gun suicides. All these terms have specific meanings. Gun deaths include suicides, which even the anti-gun Brady campaign admits make up more than half of all gun deaths in America. If we consider mass shootings as they're defined by the FBI, then the US actually ranks lower than at least 10 European countries with stricter gun laws once you adjust for population. Further, even if there is a high gun suicide rate in the US is still far behind numerous Asian and European countries in terms of overall suicide rates once you adjust for population. So don't give me your facts about gun deaths, Mr. Maxwell.
And I'm just going to say this now, just in case you ever run into this. People always say, well, left-wingers and gun grabbers always say, that there's 93 deaths by gun violence every single day in America. Now, that's a really tricky term. Deaths by gun violence doesn't mean murder. You would think it means murder, but it doesn't. It's a way for them to take all deaths by guns and pretend that it's just gun murder. It's a way to inflate the numbers. As My Two Cents pointed out, most of that is suicides. You cut out the suicides, you are left with the homicides, which is 32 a day. So what does that tell you? That means left-wingers put suicides in there to triple the amount of freaking deaths, and so they can pretend like those are gun murders. And remember, there's 32 gun homicides. Everybody in America thinks gun homicides means gun murder. It does not. In America, gun homicides mean good guys killing bad guys, which includes cops killing bad guys and civilians killing bad guys. And then on top of that includes gun murders. But gun murders is a very small percentage of that. At the very least, once you cut out the good guys killing bad guys and the cops killing bad guys, you are left with around 10 gun murders a day. 10 gun murders a day is microscopic when you consider the fact that there's 320 million people in the United States of America. And remember, these 10 deaths aren't because of guns. You ban guns, they'll just use a different tool, you idiot. Matter of fact, they'll just still use guns because they'll be available on the black market. So we went from 93 gun murders a day to 10. To 10. Did you see what the left just did? They took the real gun murder rate and times it by 9 without even flinching. And acted as if those were the real statistics. And the left love doing this to shootings too. They'll say there's like 400 mass shootings in a year, which is bullcrap. If you look at the stats, that's not even close to being true. For example, I looked at the stats, and most of the stats were a single person killing one other person. That's not a mass shooting. And then the other half of them, I swear, were guys shooting themselves in the leg on accident. An accidental discharge of a weapon isn't a mass shooting. I'm sorry, but it's not. But they include it to be dishonest, because left-wingers are dishonest cucks. Oh, and remember how I said there's 10 gun murders a day? Well, think about this. There's 1,300 deaths by smoking every single day in America. So what's worse, 1,300 smoking-caused deaths or 10 gun deaths? According to the left, 10 gun deaths. That's retarded. Should we ban guns even though they save more lives than they take? Studies show that guns prevent 800,000 to 2 million violent crimes every year. At the cost of what? 10 lives? 10 lives that wouldn't even be saved if guns were taken away. Again, the bad guys would just use a different tool. How many lives does smoking save? 0. So you got guns which save more lives than they take versus smoking, which kills 1,300 people a day. And people want to ban freaking guns. Unbelievable.
It's our right as Americans to own a gun. Now, while I believe reform is a necessary and progressive step towards tackling the issue of gun violence in the United States, my focus is still on this thing of the obsession. Because you can pass stricter laws, hell, you can ban the whole country from ever even looking at a firearm, but that will not stop people from getting their hands on them, treasuring them, polishing them, treating them like some sort of prized masterpiece or a child in their family, and
damn straight.
Instead of what they are, weapons designed to kill. Trust me, I've heard all the absurdities as to the purpose of guns outside the realm of killing. They are for hunting, which is still killing, but okay, so you need 300 million guns for hunting. 1/3 of them, by the way, which are handguns, which are useless for hunting purposes, but brilliant as tools for killing.
Now, guns are not a tool for killing only. But if they were, you're acting as if killing has no purpose. What if there's a government tyrant that's killing innocent people and he needs to be killed? Well, what's going to happen? You can't kill him because killing's wrong? Fuck you. There's nothing wrong with killing somebody in self-defense if it needs to be done. What if there was a serial rapist who rapes their victims to death? Are you going to say that you shouldn't defend yourself and kill him before he kills you? That's retarded. So this whole angle that guns are always used for killing and killing's always unjustified is bullshit. And it's not even true. Guns are mainly not used for killing. I don't buy guns to kill anybody. I buy guns for self-defense. If somebody attacked me, I would shoot them until they're incapacitated. I wouldn't just keep shooting them until they're dead. Most people wouldn't. And to state otherwise is bullshit. It's a lie. Look, there's 500 million guns in America and 320 million people. There's more guns than people. Again, 320 million people, and we only have 32 gun homicides a day. That includes good guys killing bad guys, cops killing bad guys, and bad guys killing good guys. To say that guns kill people all the time is ridiculous because it's the furthest thing from the truth. If you look at the stats, they rarely kill. Usually what happens is the bad guy sees the gun and they back off. They stop whatever they're doing, whether it's thieving or it's murdering. Guns prevent murder. Guns prevent crime. They're also used as a tool to stop the government from being tyrannical and killing people. Because the government kills more people than citizens kill people. I want you to know that. Governments have killed 200 million people in acts of democide. That's government slaughtering their own people. That's more people killed by government than ordinary citizens killing themselves or killing each other. There's a bigger chance of government slaying you than the average Joe. So if you really want to reduce killing, you would put as many guns in the hands of people as possible.
Handguns are useless for hunting? You clearly know nothing about hunting, Mr. Maxwell. Sure, they can be used for hunting. Especially sportsmen that are looking for a greater challenge love to use handguns for hunting.
So please, spare me. Now, if this were a typical anti-gun rant, this is a point where you would expect me to go off on how video games are polluting the minds of the youth, but my focus is again deeper than that. An obsession that has warped the general public into believing that guns are less of a threat to impressionable young minds than a middle finger. Oh yes, listen closely here, because if you happen to be jamming out to Beyonce on the radio, you might not know that you have to sing the line on your own, as the line is bleeped out on the radio version of her hit Sorry. However, if you want to glorify having a Glock in your Rari with the ability to shoot 17 shots no 38, well, you can harmonize along with Fetty Wap, no problemo.
I got a Glock in my Rari. Hey, 17 shots, no 38.
To most Americans, the difference between how a line about a middle finger and a line about carrying a gun are treated may not even give you pause. But just think about that for a second. How absurd that is. That if the point of censoring curse words is to stop young listeners from repeating the lyrics or picking up bad habits, the message sent is that Americans are more willing to expose young people to lyrics about someone in a car proudly sporting a pistol, willing and able to fire shots from it on cue, over that of someone putting up their middle finger. And this is just one example.
Having a gun is something perfectly legitimate provided you teach your children how to properly use them. Guns, like all other weapons, can be legitimately used to defend yourself against an aggressor. Never mind that every day guns are used for self-defense approximately 6,850 times in the US, and about 92% of the time the gun is never even fired. But you'll never hear that from the left. I too carry a gun when I'm driving, but I've never actually shot anybody. It's for my personal defense. Funny how the media never reports on the thousands of incidents where law-abiding citizens use guns to protect themselves.
Go watch any movie on television and you will find those same disgusting middle fingers that don't have a powerful lobby behind them blurred out, all while impressionable eyes can bask in the gore of gunshot wounds galore at any time of day. Hell, you can turn on the news and watch a real live car chase that, if you're lucky, and I quote from an American who introduced me to this when my mind was first trying to contemplate how a car chase could be broadcast live on TV. If we're lucky, we might be able to see a shootout. But my point is, it starts at this level. The level of acceptance of what can be celebrated and what is considered toxic. Not only are guns supported by law, celebrated in popular culture, and promoted on most street corners, they're deemed more appropriate for young minds than hearing the word ass or seeing someone flipping the bird.
Okay, we all know that tyrants exist, but you're further proof that they exist in America because clearly, if you had it your way, you would ban that Glock song. You would censor the shit out of anybody that opposes your beliefs. Anybody and everybody. And you're the exact reason why people need guns. It's to stop censorship. It's to stop tyranny.
So whenever another tragedy occurs, I'm taken right back to this point on the obsession. The obsession that has people convinced that buying more guns is the answer in the face of a massacre rather than increasing regulation.
Yeah, but my guess is that you support government having guns, right? The funny thing is that no one really thinks the answer is to get rid of guns altogether. The left just wants only certain people to have guns, for the state to have a monopoly on guns. But once that happens, who protects you from them? The reason people buy more guns after mass shootings is in part because they realize that if someone else had been armed at that shooting, such as at the Pulse nightclub, which Mr. Maxwell just cited, that person could have stopped the mass shooting from happening.
An obsession that allows gun usage to pass as normality, which when partnered with the false sense of patriotism attached to weaponry in the States, makes for an almost impenetrable foundation. In reality, soon after Sandy Hook, I realized right there and then that if the ruthless murder of 20 children between the ages of 6 and 7 years old wouldn't force people to at least question their obsession, nothing would. It's as woven into American culture as the Star-Spangled Banner.
And that's one of the things that makes America great. Don't get me wrong, America isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but there's still a large enough amount of the American population that recognizes that the right to bear arms is the fundamental freedom. Without the power to protect yourself from aggressors, there's nothing stopping a tyrannical government from sweeping in and taking away your freedoms. If history is any indicator, stricter gun control is always first on the agenda of every major tyrant. Thanks for helping me out with this one, Mr. Dapperton.
No problem, homie.
Be sure to subscribe to both our channels and hit that like button. Let's get back to our vacation, Katie.
It's about time. I was gonna leave you for a Scottish guy.
And that's our 2 cents, so take it for what it's worth.